All right, in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to apply a combination of transformations to a given graph. So I'll give it a graph here. It's the graph of a function y is equal to f of x. And using this graph, I want to sketch the graph of y plus 2 is equal to negative f of x plus 4. So just like in past lessons, what you want to do first is you want to examine this transform function. Y plus 2 is equal to negative x plus 4. Okay? And when you're examining it, you're actually comparing it to the general form of a function being transformed. So you're comparing it to this function here. Y minus k is equal to a times f of b x minus h, and you're going to close those brackets. So you're going to compare these two functions together. And what you want to do is you want to identify your k and your a and your b and your h values, okay? So let's take a look. Do we have a k value involved here? Well, we actually do. That comes from right there, so y plus 2. But remember, this is a y minus k, so your k value, you have to look at what the opposite sign. So a positive 2, that means my k value is going to be negative 2, okay? Also, let's keep looking at let's look at parameter a, sorry. And my parameter a comes right in front of the function. Now notice that it's negative, but it's not just a negative, it's a negative 1. So that's what my a value is going to be equal to, so negative 1. Let's keep going. Let's identify the b parameter. Your b parameter applies to inside the function. We take a look. Is there a b value? Well, it's not actually shown, but we do actually have a b value, and that's actually 1. Okay. Let's keep going here. The last value you want to identify is the h value, and that comes from this expression right here. So notice that's an x plus 4, but because it's an x minus h, you have to treat it like the opposite sign. So my h value is going to be negative 4. Okay, so from here we identified all our parameters, but it doesn't actually tell me, or it does tell me what my transformations are. So let's go through each one. Since my k value is negative 2, that means I have a vertical translation 2 units down. Okay. Now remember, what did the a value do to your graph? Well, your a value vertically stretched your coordinates. So what is our vertical stretch factor? Well, my vertical stretch factor is actually just 1. Okay, so there's actually no stretches happening here, but there is a negative. That means we have a vertical reflection in the x-axis. Okay, so let's keep going here. We have a b value equal to 1. That means we have a horizontal stretch by a factor of 1 over 1, which gives me 1. So there actually is no vertical stretch happening here, or vertical reflection. But we have an h value, and that's a negative 4. So that means we have a horizontal, so horizontal translation 4 units to the left. Okay, so once we identified all our transformations, we actually go ahead and perform them. Okay, and actually we're going to use that really useful formula I taught in the last lesson, and that formula was this: if you had a point x comma y and you perform a combination of transformations, what ends up happening is you get a point x over b, right? So that was your horizontal stretch. Then you're going to add your h value, which is your horizontal translation, and then you're going to take your y values and multiply it by your a values, and that caused your vertical stretch. And then finally, you got to apply your vertical translation, so you're going to add your k. So remember, that is the little mini formula I taught in the last lesson. So we're going to actually use it here to apply all our transformations. So let's go through the mini formula and identify what parameters we have. So my b value is 1, so we're actually going to go x divided by 1, which we'll just write as x. And we have an h value of negative 4. Okay, so we're actually going to add a negative 4, which also means we're going to subtract 4. Okay, then we have an a value of negative 1, so we're going to multiply all the y coordinates by negative 1. So just excuse me here, I'm just trying to get this all written out. Okay, so we have negative y, and we're going to add our k value, which we found to be negative 2. So you're going to add a negative 2, which means you're going to minus 2. Okay, all right, so once we set this up, we are going to go ahead and apply our transformations. So let's pick some points from our graph here. I'm going to pick some points I can actually read here. So negative 10 comma 0 is one point I can see. 0 12, okay, and I have 6 comma 6 so right there, and finally I'll pick this endpoint right here, 8 comma 10. All right, so let's apply those transformations. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take all our x coordinates and subtract 4. So negative 10 minus 4. Okay, and then the second thing we got to do is we got to make our y coordinate negative, so negative 0, and then subtract 2. Okay, so let's keep going here. We have 0 minus 4, okay, and negative 12 minus 2. All right, and we have a 6 minus a 4, negative 6 minus 2. So just be really careful with the signs here. And then we have a 8 minus 4. And then finally, to finish this off, we have negative 10 minus 2. Okay, so from here, we're going to write out the new points. And it's quite simple. You just go ahead and apply your arithmetic here. So if negative 10 minus 14 gives you negative 14. 0 minus 2 gives you a negative 2. So there's your first point right there. Let's go ahead with the second point. We have 0 minus 4, which gives me negative 4. And negative 12 minus 2 gives you negative 14. Okay, and let's keep going. 6 minus 4 gives you positive 2. Negative 6 minus 2 gives you negative 8. And very last but not least, we have 8 minus 4, which gives me positive 4. And negative 10 minus 2 gives me negative 12. So here are your transform points. We have 4 of them, okay? And let's actually graph these points. So negative 14, negative 2, which is about, I'm going to use a different color here. Right there. Okay, so I'm going to try my best here to graph it. And we have negative 4, negative 14. So that's about right there. All right, so far I think I'm okay. 2, negative 18, or negative 8, sorry, right there. And finally 4, negative 12. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph these points. So we do have, it's a straight line, goes through all 4 points, and we have something that looks like that. All right, so that is how you graph a function that involves a combination of transformations.